Bringing you the voice and vision of custom culture and lifestyle, as seen through the eyes of this South Texas duo. Welcome to the Custom Couple. Matthew Leland, welcome to the Custom Couple. I know I'm flying solo today, but that's what happens when the wife works in the medical field. So,
of course, yeah.
All good. I appreciate you jumping on and talking with us, man. We've wanted to get you on the show for a bit now. Of course, you know, we've followed your photography forever, so really digging everything that you got going on. So it was, you know, both of us really wanted to be on this episode, and she just got stuck at work, but it happens.
Well, she'll be here in spirit. Yeah, hopefully next time.
Absolutely. I mean, do you have any trips planned to Texas anytime soon?
Nothing currently, but there's always something, you know, that comes up. So hopefully I'll be out there soon. You know, it was fortunately such a short time I had out there, but I felt like I met a lot of great folks out there. And then I don't think I've even tapped into the car culture out there, the amount of hot rods and history. So I definitely need to come back.
Oh, absolutely, man. You know, when you were here last time, you made a trip down into the valley. And you got some really cool shots with some stuff down there, and you know, was Laredo area, or did you go all the way down to Brownsville?
Oh, I think I went even further. I know we were towards the border. Off the top of my head, I'm not recalling the town, but I think I drove about 4 hours south. It was for that 40 Dodge.
Yeah,
that was all the way down there.
Was awesome.
The name unfortunately escapes me, but yeah, that car was. What's funny is actually from California. So it was funny. That was actually used to be close to me, and then I had to drive all the way out here to go see it.
You know what? Tell me how you got into all of this. We'll give our listeners a little bit of a background on you, and then we'll get into all the cool shit that you're doing now. But how did you get started in all of this?
Oh, man, that's I mean, photography, I guess, just to start there. Well, now that I think about it, I think it's always been cars. My uncle got me into cars probably when I was about 16 or 17. He had a 1940 and still has his 1947 Frazier. And it was the first car I think I'd ever seen. You know, I'm 38. So I grew up in the, late 80s, early 90s. And so we saw a lot of the pro streeting cars and the turquoise stuff and the mag rims. And even as a kid, they never really grabbed me. Old cars just didn't, it wasn't something I really they grabbed me, and it was only as I got older and hanging out with my uncle and seeing white walls, seeing his car lowered, it was like a off-white, then with like a tan top, and just, he would always cruise by and he'd always have 40s music on. Something about that era. And then of course he was big into all the history with custom cars. And I think seeing that and going, wow, what is this? This is something I don't see. This is not, at the time, those cars weren't really popular, or we were just starting to see that kind of rockabilly culture and that retro hot rod culture just starting to emerge in the late 90s.
Yeah.
So that combined with the fact my first book, I remember, almost didn't get my high school diploma because I didn't return this book. I ended up paying for it out of the library. It was Dave Perry's Hot Rod. Okay. And it was his first book, I believe. I think he might have had some other ones, but he shot it all with an old Kodak, and it was some of the first time I'd seen the modern interpretation of that retro culture. Because I was from my uncle, I was dressing up a little bit, and I was only a kid that had the retro stuff in high school in Castro Valley. And, Dave Perry was, of course, about 10, 15 years older than me, and he was already photographing the culture that was showing up, like with the choppers in Burbank, and there were some Bay Area guys starting to build the culture there. This was stuff I didn't even know existed. So getting this book was just a huge eye-opener for me. So I think that combined with, of course, it was photography and being an artist, I just fell in love with his images and wanted to start doing that myself.
Badass. What was the first cars that you started getting images and started down that path with?
I think my first time I really started shooting cars was I probably snapped a couple of my own. I had a 49 Kaiser in high school that I got. So it was a kind of a lower model of my uncle's.
Yeah.
So I started photographing my own car, but we accidentally actually stumbled upon, I think it was probably the 99 or 2000 Bulletproof show when he was still at I believe it was the Holiday Bowl in Hayward. So before it became big at the Antioch Fairgrounds and, the big show we all know now, I want to say it was maybe 50 cars. We'd heard about it. So we cruised on after my uncle picked me up, and we cruised on down, and there was about 50 cars. And once again, I'm like, what are these? These are cars. There's no Pro Street, no pastel painted Tweety Bird shit. I mean, it was just like, I remember coming to the parking lot, and there was a 55 Buick with flames all over it, the interior all ratted out. And the guy was just kind of just driving all kind of fun around the parking lot. And I'm like, I don't know, it's what, and when you're younger and it's the first thing you see, you're like, what is this thing? I like it. What is this,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I would say that's the first show that I think I started taking photos. And from there, the ball started rolling.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Bulletproof show, man. I miss those shows, dude. Like we got a few of them here in Texas. I think Bulletproof came through here maybe 3 or 4 years in a row, and then that's when they stopped doing the show. And I remember going out. And they held it like in this small little podunk town. And I'm sorry for folks in East Texas. I didn't mean to call y'all a bunch of podunk town folks. But no, it's Giddings, Texas. It's like out near the Houston area, in the middle of nowhere. And it was just a rad show. I mean, you just like you see a bunch of like the jalopies and the rat rod type stuff coming out to shows like that more than how you said with the pastel colored kind of Pro Street stuff. Like we call them Easter eggs here.
Cool. But that's a good name for them.
But yeah, it's like you see that raw, like hot rod, like that's what hot rodding looks like to for us, and and the type of stuff that we're into. So absolutely loved that show. I would imagine I would hope that you're making plans for Roundup this year.
I think so. I'm definitely going to try. I know there's quite a few shows they got pushed back.
Yeah.
And they're going to start going. So it might be tough only because I think everybody's jam packed. I think West Coast Customs around the time. I know Viva's doing it. Everybody is, they got smushed to that time. So it'll be a whirlwind of shows for sure.
Oh yeah, I know it. Of course, here in Texas, it's always Roundup and Invasion, and Roundup's normally in April, and getting pushed to Labor Day weekend, which is normally when Invasion happens. Now Invasion's getting pushed to like October 23rd or something along those lines.
Oh, okay.
So it's like they're all kind of pushing on top of each other. So this fall is going to be busy. Super busy.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Well, everyone had some time to work on their cars, so hopefully they'll be ready to go.
Yeah, no excuses, right?
Exactly.
So, what are you working on right now as far as projects go and photography and all that world?
Oh man, it's weird. Anyone that is an entrepreneur or works for themselves knows the whole fast or famine sort of thing, and so that's how it's been. It went from real slow, of course, with the pandemic to man, I've got several things kind of going on right now between probably doing another calendar again. I don't know if you remember seeing that Hot Rods and Hot Dogs I did last year. I thought was kind of fun. So shooting those, because that works really well, because half the time the owner that I'm shooting their car with has a dog or a puppy or something,
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a fun little side thing. So yeah, doing that. I just started some work I would say the biggest project going on would be with Hemmings Motor News. I'm going to be doing some video with them.
Really?
Yeah. Really excited because they traditionally they barely are on Instagram, much less doing video content. And so I'm going to be working with Dan Stoner, who's known for Auto Cult and also Garage Magazine that was in the 2000s. I'm going to be working with him, and we're trying to produce a show, hopefully, called The Motor Underground, that we're putting together right now. It's all preliminary. Takes a long time, of course, with anything to get the ball rolling.
Of course.
But I think, we finally got the pieces together, and I think we might have something pretty cool that, will be different. I mean, there's been a lot of television shows and podcasts and different YouTube channels that do car stuff, but we're going to really focus on culture. And I think that's going to be a big way that's going to make our show stand out.
Absolutely, man. I mean, that sounds awesome. Especially, hearing that you're working with Hemmings. I mean, Hemmings has been, a staple in, the car world for a long, long time. And, they've always had their big old thick magazines and,
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
so it's kind of cool to see somebody, that's been in the world for as long as they have, to be going into more of the social media and video media kind of content and trying to like get themselves into 2021.
For sure, yeah. And they trust me, they're fighting tooth and nail. I think with some of these businesses, it kind of makes sense. They know their format and what they want to do, but it's good to know they're starting getting that creative side and realize that there's an option for not only creative stuff, but also something that could be unique to them and their readers. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm definitely excited because like you said, they're a big name. They've been around. They're like the authority when it comes to really just not just restoration guys, but just car people in general, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Dude, when I was trying to put myself through school, I was becoming an aircraft mechanic, and I worked part-time at Pep Boys. And I remember just waiting around for the clock to tick. It'd be dead in the store or whatever, and I'd be thumbing through Hemmings magazine in the back section, dreaming of all the stuff that I wish I could buy. All the stuff that was for sale, and it's like, oh, that's a good price, but it is nowhere close to me. And now I do the same thing on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, at least you can kind of not torture yourself and limit your radius. But it's funny you mention that because I remember doing that as a kid too. You look through there, and because Hemmings I don't know if it's international, but it's definitely obviously all over the country. So yeah, it's easy to look through there, and you start seeing these cars that maybe you didn't even know existed, or like you said, prices, and then you go, oh man, that's in Montana. That's kind of a bummer. I'm not getting out there anytime soon.
Exactly. And man, there was a few times I'd find some things in there. It's like, oh, this is in Texas. I might actually go look for this. And yeah. And then I realized that I'm looking at like a 3-month-old magazine, and I was like, well, it might not be for sale anymore.
Yeah, it might be gone. Yeah.
So, we were talking a little bit the other day, and you had mentioned that you're working with Tail Dragger Syndicate.
Yeah.
So I've been following that page for a couple months now, and absolutely dig all the stuff that's coming out on there. What are you doing with them?
Oh yeah. Well, actually, it's this guy Cody. He's the one. Actually, he's local to me of all things. He actually started the original brand and the idea. So I've been working with him. He actually found me while I was in Texas. Had followed my work, had seen my stuff, and really liked my style of work. And initially wanted me to start shooting some of his first content. I think what attracted me about his brand was not only the cleanliness of how he was trying to do his web design, his t-shirts, his logos, but I'll say the content. Everything he wants to do is period correct, pre-1948 sleds. And that's my bread and butter. That's what I love to see. And that's what I've really been obsessed with lately. So it's been just a dream to be able to shoot just those type of cars, and give them the look and respect they deserve. Because some of these things are some of the cars I've been shooting have been not only historic ones, but also fresh builds as well. And just to see the craftsmanship on some of these, I think that's what's been the most fun. Not that I would discount anyone's car, anyone's hot rod, anything. Obviously all types of cars I'm into. But there's something to be said with some of these high-end period builds that you're just amazed by the shape and form of the vehicles and their presence. They're just there's something else for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to go to the extent of some of these builds that these guys are doing, it takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of money sometimes, but
oh, for sure.
To sit down and say I'm going to do a period correct sled is it's like I said, it's a lot of dedication. So yeah, I can appreciate that, just like I'm sure any of our listeners can appreciate the time and effort put into some of these kind of cars. It's it's fun for all of us in the car culture just to get out and build a car to the point that it's drivable. That's what I've done most of the time, is just get into a car that's drivable.
It moves out of the driveway. Yeah.
But just going to that level is just like it's a whole new world. And like I said, a lot of the cool stuff that's coming out on that page, I mean, I'm absolutely digging it. So I'm looking forward to seeing more, and love the fact that you're involved with it, because we've been sharing the hell out of it lately.
Oh, thank you guys so much. Yeah,
of
we're
course.
Really proud of it. Me and Cody are very happy with how it's come across, and it actually worked out in kind of the pandemic is kind of worked out in a good way, in the sense of we haven't been able to hit the streets, like in the sense of having a booth or anything, but allowed us this whole last year, as you've seen, every month we have a new feature. Not only just the photography, but we've been adding video content as well. So now that the shows are opening, now things are going, now we have lots of amazing cars to show people, a lot of great content. And it's cool because not only have I shot them in California, but I, went all the way to Texas. Hopefully this next year will take me to, hopefully on the East Coast. Yeah. And, wherever these cars are, I'll go and shoot them.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Man, we just did an interview with a guy. You've got to check out some of the stuff that he's doing. And he's up in Canada. We did a Zoom call with him. He's out of Ontario. And he's just doing this stuff for a hobby. Like, he works a regular day job, and then builds cars because it's fun.
Oh,
and
wow.
He just finished a 40 Buick. And put it on airbags, and he hauled it off today. So I was like, man, he's just knocking things out left and right. And I think you'll really dig some of the stuff that he's building. So maybe in your travels, you might end up in Canada at some point.
Oh, I'm all for it, man. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that too, because I think there's a lot of impression that it needs to be a big shop, that can make these cars. Like one that's really famous around here, I believe it's in the Santa Rosa area, is Lucky 7 Customs, and they make just some jaw-dropping, beautiful cars. But one of the first vehicles I shot for Tail Dragger was Steve Pierce's, I believe it's a 39 or 40 Buick. It's a blue one. My buddy Kyle Martin shot, and he built it in his 2-3 car garage. All the work was himself. He's a barber by trade, and he just went in there and just put his time in. And you would think a high-end shop built it. I mean, it is that beautiful. It is that perfect in the detailing. So it's cool to show that you don't necessarily need a huge shop too. You can be someone that with the right eye and the right time and dedication, you can build it. They're not.
Oh, you're absolutely right, man. I mean, it's really sweet to see, what can be done because you actually have passion in what you're doing. When it's
Absolutely.
not just a job anymore. Like when you take a lot of folks, they see it's like, oh, you want to turn your passion into a paycheck. But at the same time, if your paycheck can still be your passion, that's awesome. But a lot of people lose that. A lot of people don't love getting up and going to work every day. And, the fact that some of these guys, they get up and go to work, and then they come home and they love what they do at home instead, and they're not getting paid to do it. Like, you can see it in some of their work sometimes. I think that's freaking rad.
Absolutely. Yeah. As we all know, we have either families or other dedications that we have to take care of. So seeing that, I think, we can definitely admit that you can see dedication to that, because obviously there's other things they could be doing, but they push those away or make time for their passion, to
Absolutely.
see that get done. So.
Absolutely. So what do you own in your own garage right now?
Well, I'm working on 2 cars. You can't, obviously the viewers can't see, but behind me is a 69 Buick GS 350. So it's my muscle car there. I've never been a big muscle car guy, but this one was, I'm sure you guys have all had, or probably our listeners have had cars that have been in the family, but for some reason they weren't able to get their hands on it. Someone sold it or it got junked. Mm-hmm. So this one has been in the family. My aunt and my uncle have both passed away a couple of years ago, but my aunt had it for high school. And then my uncle purchased it off of her in 1981. And then I remember growing up, and he actually lived with my grandmother. And so every Easter and every Christmas, and I think probably Thanksgivings, this car was sitting out in front of her house. And I remember just growing up seeing this thing. It was a root beer brown with a black vinyl top. And I always think it was such a cool car. I don't know what it was. Probably same thing. You're a kid. It's a hot rod. It looks fast. It's a muscle car. So that's getting a full restoration right now. So that's been more of the long-term project. First time doing, other than taking, I didn't take the body off the frame. Other than that, I've done a full build on this thing. So it's the first time I would say officially building a car. I had nothing and now I have a car again. So it's been a fun project. And the other one I'm working on is a 1948 Frazier. Has been my other daily driver right now.
Really? You love them Fraziers, huh?
Yeah, I like the weird ones, man. I like making, seeing. Once again, I'm not going to turn down a Merc any day soon. But
of course,
like I said, between my uncle having that, I always looked at them, and the idea for this one is to go on a full-on custom with this one. It's if you look them up on the internet, 47 to 50, they're, to be totally honest, they're a little bit of a grandpa cruiser. They only made them in a 4-door. They're very conservative cars. And, but I've just never seen someone go to town with a Sawzall and chop them and drop them down and do something radical. So that's my plan. I've been working with a couple buddies to get some ideas. And I think we've got a pretty good plan on what we're going to do with this guy.
Now on those, are you planning on leaving the drivetrain original, or are you gonna go to like a V8 swap or something along those lines?
It depends. I think possibly down the line. Right now, it has the inline that came with stock, which is a 226 Continental inline. If I do keep it, one of the more famous things that Kaiser was known for was their superchargers on their earlier 50s cars.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah, that might be kind of cool. Of course, that supercharger, went from 100 horsepower to 120. But yeah, that might look very slick, popping the hood with the original supercharger and all that. If not, we're definitely going period. I'm trying to keep it, pre-1955. So I'll probably be eyeballing like an old 303 or Nailhead, probably to give it that period look. Where I'm trying to stay away from the small blocks.
Well, that would be really cool. I'm a big fan of the Buicks, all the oddball GM stuff, Pontiac, Oldsmobile. I've owned several Nailhead engines and owned a few Buicks that still had the nailheads in them.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. I'm a big Buick fan. Yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I had that it was kind of a famous story around here in San Antonio, but I had a 54 Buick that got ruined. And the one thing that I kept from the car after the car was, junk, was the engine out of it. And I was like, I'm going to put this engine in something, I swear. And it never happened. I just was never able to catch a break with that damn car.
Some are just like that, man. Trust me. I've had plenty of, whether it be parts of it or the whole damn car. I think we all get a lemon now and then, or something that has a juju about it that just, this son of a bitch does not want to stay on the road,
You know what? It almost is like superstitious, but yeah, there's some cars that they just don't want to go anymore, and it's just they're done. They gave up.
Yeah, they don't want to be there, man. I had a 50 Ford a couple months ago that was one of those. The minute you fix one thing, the corresponding part would fall off. It was just one of those cars. So sometimes you just you either decide, okay, I'm going to go all the way and replace it till you have a completely new car, or you just realize, hey, get it out of here. Well, let's go to the next project.
Right. Yeah.
Which is no shame in that,
Get the bad luck out of the garage.
Yeah. Just go on. Go on to the next one.
So what do you have coming up? Like, what is there anything on the books that you want to get out and promote for, or anything that folks need to be aware of coming up?
I'd say, like we mentioned, the Tail Dragger, definitely keep an eye on that. We're going to be doing that. Hopefully we'll get the chance to actually be at some car shows. We're definitely going to be focusing on West Coast Customs coming up. I believe that got pushed around, October or so. So we're definitely going to have a booth there. Working on new swag, of course. So T-shirts, some plaques, definitely going to try to focus on prints. I think a lot of people, definitely as a photographer, and I'm not sure about you or our viewers, our listeners, but, there's a lot of work that's done in photography, and to see it on your, 5-inch screen, it's nice to see it printed, so we're going to really focus on having prints, really focus on having larger format for people to either frame up or see. and hopefully hit the crowds and see how they like our work.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Give me just 1 second.
I had to come in and fuck it all up.
That's how it goes. Got to keep things exciting, you know? Fuck you.
Hi.
And we're actually a couple at this point. Sam got home from work.
We got a couple. Awesome.
We're matching. He's wearing yellow and gold like I'm wearing yellow and gold.
And I'm kind of wearing yellow and gold.
Yeah, check it out.
We did not plan that.
No. We didn't plan this at all.
You got my text, right?
But yeah, we're actually just honestly we're wrapping everything up, but still wanted to give you a chance to jump on a microphone with us and talk.
For sure, yeah. I'm trying to, where were we at last? I don't know if we had any more. I think we're talking about just any projects.
Yeah,
you were. Where we're...
all of our listeners are like, "Geez, just roll it already." God.
Yeah, just like, God, man, look at these guys. What a mess.
What a bunch of unprofessionals.
He talked about Hawaii and all the fun stuff going on.
Hawaii. We did not talk about Hawaii.
No, Hawaii was fun. I didn't get to do as much hot rod stuff as I wanted, but I planted some seeds. I got the chance to visit Moon Eyes is out there, and got to visit a handful of folks that have some cars. There's a couple more cars out there than I thought. It's kind of cool, especially in such a weird atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys got the chance or anyone else, it's definitely Hawaii. You got to visit. It's not only just absolutely gorgeous, but the history out there. Of course, you have Pearl Harbor. I don't know. It definitely had a blast. But next time I'm going to be setting up and hopefully have some shoots out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of my first ones, actually, the image that started my Hot Rods and Hot Dogs calendar a couple years ago was we ended up not getting it published, but it was for Hop Up magazine. It was a 1930 Model A that was out on Maui. And I met the owner out there, real nice guy. His name's Eric. And he was on Mad Fabricators, a couple different shows.
Yeah.
And went out there to shoot his car, and he happened to have this little tiny wiener dog named Rocket, which was super cute. And so I shot the car, and then of course we had Rocket pose and do a couple of photos with that. And then after seeing those photos, I'm like, not only were they beautiful because you have the mountains of Maui in the back,
Mm-hmm.
and this stock Model A, little hot rod. But, there's a little wiener dog sticking out of it, that was just super cute. And so that actually started the whole idea, doing the branding with the hot rods and hot dogs and the calendar and the shirts and stuff like that. So sometimes the most oddball thing can start a new idea.
Absolutely, man. It's funny that you mentioned that, as far as, your calendar and, everybody, being a car owner probably has a dog. And it was cool that y'all incorporated the two together, because I know, every time I end up on the road, I always end up taking more pictures with people's dogs than,
Never
cars.
with them. Never with them. He takes them. He's like,
right?
yeah, look, I'm at so-and-so's house. Dog.
I'm
Where are they?
selfies with the dog.
Yeah. No, that's fun. That's pretty much where the idea came from was, obviously, you know me, I've been shooting pinups for quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And, as much as I love doing that, there's a lot of work. You got to get everyone set up. They got to be scheduled. We got hair, we got makeup, we've got our clothing, all of that, And something was kind of fun about my model. It just needed a couple of biscuits and set them right there. And it seems so much easier, So I figured, hey, why not? If I could do this here, it's definitely a little bit easier of a gig, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're not having to direct them so much other than just sit. Stay.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and that's what's so funny, because some of them are just great. They sit right there. Others, I probably have taken more photos than in an actual model photo shoot, because the dog's all over the place, and that final shot is 700 photos. I'm trying to get him to focus and look at me,
But yeah, it's like
it's been awesome being a part of this, and then of course all the podcasts I get to hear, especially with the Thurman. I think you'll start. We'll get people's attention.
Absolutely. Oh, the one with Thurman, we had a blast.
We still hear about that one to this day.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
And I think we spent 6 hours with him. We showed up and had dinner with him, and it was like at his favorite spot, and like everybody there knew
We got
him.
drunk before the recording. Me and Thurman were both drunk. He was the only sober
drunk.
one. No, you were the only sober one. Me and Thurman were
That is
drunk.
awesome.
Like literally when we were about to pay the tab, he's like, "Oh, I think I fucked up." I'm like, "I did too. I didn't think about this. We were having too much fun."
Yeah. And we still had a podcast to record at that point. Like,
Yeah, still had work to do.
but no, that one was a blast, and the food was amazing. So it just it made things just flow really well when we have episodes like that. It's just awesome for us, and it opens up doors to a lot of folks that like now he's got several folks that he's like lining us up with. Hey, we got to do this again, and we got to have another podcast with you, and he's already introduced us to like 4 more people that we're gonna
very
go
cool.
up and so like we're just lining up episodes after episodes, and right now we're still in the building stages, so it's really freaking awesome. So everything's like rolling up this awesome peak right now, and we're like, okay, where do we hit the peak?
Right. Yeah. Hopefully you don't. You just keep going, guys.
You just keep on rolling, man. So
yeah. No, I'm excited for you guys to see you guys, doing your own thing now on your own, and keep pushing through it. I think we've both had our trials last year, so it's nice to see everybody still doing their stuff, because that's what's tough, I think, for a lot of people that are creatives, and I think probably a lot of listeners are. If you're a car person, you're some level of you do things on your own, and you work. You have to come off the beaten path. And it's tough to keep going sometimes, and just say, you know what, I don't care how much I get hit. I'm gonna keep on rolling. I'm still gonna do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's an excellent point. Is that there's a lot of folks out there that they think that they need to start at the top. I need to be doing the very best thing ever right off the bat, and it doesn't always work that way. So there's a lot of the things that we've gone through, and in the whole car world is probably seen is you've got to create a base. You got to create you have to have a starting point, and you have to build from that. Rather, you can't just have the the skyscraper building right up front. It has to have a foundation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
the foundation based also on passion too. I think people see through that immediately. The car world is the same as really the rest of the world. There's plenty of people that do things for a look, people that do things for attention, people that do things for multiple reasons, but I think no matter what, if you see people that have a passion and they're doing what they're doing because they just simply love what they're doing, that's always going to succeed, I think, or at least is always going to get people's attention because they're excited to see. And that's what the whole point of making what you're doing, you guys having that podcast and me as a photographer, I want people to be inspired. You want people to listen, to be inspired to either build cars or be a part of this culture. And I, try to produce photography that, maybe the next generation of kids, that they're not, I'm never going to hate on anyone getting into cars, of course, but hopefully they're getting these old cars out of the junkyard, and they see that it's not just an old man's thing. I can do this too. I can build something, So I think, people that see that passion are always attracted to it.
Yeah, and maybe in 20 years or so, some kid will be out there and not get to graduate high school because he kept your book out for too long. And
right, yeah. Well, he's at least paid for it. He needs to finish that part, but yeah.
But we really appreciate you being on the show and hanging out with us, man. Of course, I didn't record the rest of the video. I've only recorded the audio, so the video is just for us, so I could tell what's a joke and what was serious.
No, at the end of it, I'm gonna do like a kind of like a giant. What is it when you measure
like a collage?
Thank you. So I'm going to do like that with all the different videos that we've done with everybody. So that way we have something to show for at the end of the year. So it shows how many people we've interviewed, who we've talked to.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And that way everybody can see it and be like, damn, this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely in the works. So we're compiling all of this together, and and of course the podcast is one thing, but we're trying to get out on like several different levels with it. But when it's all said and done, so we'll see how it all plays out, man.
Yeah, no, just keep going, man. And I think now that we're seeing the shows open and we're seeing people, we can all finally be social and finally be active. I think it'll give you guys even more content, and hopefully, I can come back and we'll chat about whatever news coming up, and learn about your guys' hot rods and your guys' cars. And yeah, man, I just love this stuff, so I'm always down to talk about it.
For real, man. And if you do get a chance to make it to Texas, then we'll of course do an update episode with you in person.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Yeah,
you're in California, right?
Yep. Yeah, I'm in Northern California.
Where at in Northern California?
Around the Modesto area.
Oh, okay. Did he tell you we're going to be in California my birthday week, and we're going to be there for 7 days?
Yeah, we'll be in. What's the name of the park that we're going to?
Oak Canyon Park. So we're going to fly to LA. We're going to be there 2 days before the show, and then we'll be there 2 days after the show. So we'll be there for a total about 5 to 6 days.
Oh, rad. Well, we'll definitely have to link up, and maybe we can do something, collaborating with this, whether it be the photography or, we can do something in person with your guys' cast. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're hoping to try to do a few things while we're out there, but we're going there for a giant punk show that's happening, and this one, she like showed up with this flyer and is like, I'm already getting us tickets for this.
I was like, this is my birthday. I want to absolutely have fun. We're going to go out there.
So
we're going to be there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. But let me know. Definitely, like I said, what's cool about being from California, I mean, you've got hot rodding car stuff everywhere. Definitely you guys in Texas. I mean, that's this like the secondary hub, but it's really cool. When I was living in LA, for instance, you get to meet so many people that have been doing this for a long time. So I've got leads meeting the folks in Escadarian. I've met some folks in Offenhauser that I can kind of, hopefully lead you guys towards when Grand National Roadster Show does again. Oh, that's the biggest blast, because there's always after parties, and all those famous builders or people in, they're all there, they're there to hang out, and they're drinking beers, and it's just a great time, and I think that's what's cool about California is that all of that hot rodding. It's weird considering we have like the harshest laws on emissions, and our traffic sucks, and it's like the worst place to drive a goddamn car, but we have like the coolest stuff. I don't know. It's ironic in that aspect, but SoCal it seems to be where that hub where people come here, and the history is here. So you see a lot of that. So definitely anything I can do to help you guys out, and maybe get some other, some folks from Offenhauser, or who knows, we can get on the line with you guys. Dude, that would be absolutely awesome. We would dig the hell out of that. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Well, we will let you get back to your normal life. It's almost dinner time for you.
Yeah, almost, but I'll be working on my, the fuel pump went on the Fraser. So I'm going to get something quick to eat, and I'm going to be under that car in about 20 minutes. So it doesn't stop.
Well, that's awesome, man. I really appreciate you being on the show. We loved having you. And hopefully we'll be seeing some more of your stuff here pretty soon, and we'll share the hell out of it.
Awesome, man. Thank you guys both. So cool. I had a great time, and looking forward to doing it again sometime.
All right, brother. Well, in all things custom, keep it cool.